The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm CJ.
And I'm Carlos. Good morning, everyone.
Chip is tied up in a retirement board meeting. I don't know if he'll be making it at all, so Carlos decided to step in and fill in for Chip at this point in time.
It's good to be around, and I feel bad for you a couple of weeks ago because of the storm. I was not around, and you had to do the show by yourself.
I know. I was terrified.
And before people start falling asleep out there, I better jump in.
Yeah, it's always a lot of fun, that's for sure. Well, last night was the Clowncil meeting. And
yes.
Can you believe they got out of there before 8 o'clock at night?
Yeah, those meetings, I thought it was part of the past, but I guess once in a while we still have one. I mean, it was plenty to talk about.
But they didn't talk.
No, it was a couple of things on the agenda that I thought it was going to take at least 45 minutes each, and then happened. So I guess city councils are happy with everything's going on. So that's.
Or they just don't want to address it right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a few things that was on the agenda. One, the snow removal.
Right, and they took that off the table, and I figured they were going to really beat up on that. And
I
they
believe
didn't do anything.
They table it again.
Right.
So they're probably waiting for the next storm, and I hope it's next year.
I was going to say, I hope it's next year for the next storm.
I hope it's next year. I hope we're done with snowstorms. But the fact is that the last two storms the last one, I guess, never happened, really never happened, and the one before was not as bad as the one before that.
Right.
And so it was not really too much snow to remove, and I believe the 5 trucks that we had out there did the job.
Yeah, but the thing is that we had a couple of big storms that had very poor snow removal, and this was also to bring in Area 5 or Division 5 of the Department of Transportation to find out why other cities and towns get more money and more help from the state than Fall River does. I mean, right through the middle of Fall River, Plymouth Avenue is State Route 81. And, we pay for that. We plow that whole street and we pay for it. But are we getting any money for it? And I think that's one of the questions that went unanswered because nobody from the DOT showed up.
Yeah, I mean, the case of the 79, believe it or not, we have some storms that they do a terrible job there.
Oh, I know.
I mean, happened before, and that states. So why is some streets are being plowed the right way and some not? That's why I think the city council is trying to bring them into the table to see what. If we can get some answers, and I don't think they like Fall River. I don't think they either they don't like our city councils or they don't like to come to Fall River. Either one.
It's one of those things, that's for sure. Hey, did you hear the unemployment rate is still 8.2%?
Yes, I heard, and
that's twice the state average.
And I'm not surprised.
No,
because guess what? A lot of these companies, they come in strong and they get the profit of the tips, and they walk away as soon as they can. It's happening it's happening with Amazon already, and the Amazon, it's been 1 year that it's up and running, and they're already letting people go. And that's why I'm in favor of small business.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I don't care if they employ five employees only, but those 5 employees will have job as long as they want to work. Okay?
And that's the issue.
and they are, you know, 1 year turns to 5, 5 turns to 10, and they end up retiring from that job. It's a small business, but they have the customers. When we deal with these huge companies, you become just a machine. You become just a number, you know. And why is the people last a longer time in a small business? Because they become part of the family. The son is having a bad day. Guess what? It's okay. You go take care of your son. Tomorrow you come back. You're gonna have your job. That's why these people last this long. He's having a tough time at home with his personal life, his wife or kids, whatever. You know, the employment are right there to support them. And that's why they last a long time in a job. They become family. I mean, on my business, I have customers for over 20 years. I have one, I think, since I started like 26 years ago. I saw the kids grow. I brought the kids to school. I picked them up when something went wrong and the parents had to travel, whatever. And everybody knows I'm on a cleaning company, so on a cleaning business. Now they already, you know, we go to the house and they already have their own houses. They already got married. They already have their own kids, you know. But that's to tell you, they could let me go because a huge house with 6 bathrooms and I had one time with 16 bathrooms. The houses are so big that the kids move away to college. Now we have less house to clean because the rooms are cleaned. They could very well let us go. So, you know, it's only, oh, I think my microphone just dropped. The house, it's already clean. You don't have to come in every week. The house, it's clean. But does it happen? Why? Because I became part of the family. My birthdays, they give me gifts. Their birthdays, I give them gifts. So that's why I'm saying it's different when you work for small business. It's no comparison possible. And more, these small businesses are going out of business. More and more, they need help, okay? And believe me, to help them, you know, avoiding a permit fee, it's already a big help for a small business. Never mind, give them $500,000.
Or $10 million.
Or $10 million.
Yeah, well, you know, we just received a message from one of our viewers. Please talk about this stupid, no-plan street sweeping program. I want your thoughts and Carlos's thoughts. I don't care. It's just another money grab.
Yes.
Well, you know, it's interesting because they're trying to generate a program where they clean the streets on a regular basis in the city, which I think we need. I mean, you go to other cities like Boston, Taunton, Cambridge, they have set dates that they clean particular streets, and it says, no parking on this street from 8 to 12, the first and third Monday, or whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. And they tag you. It's $40 mm-hmm. for a fine. Mm-hmm. Now, the city's saying that they're going to have portable signs that they're going to put up on the sidewalks. Mm-hmm. And that's going to tell people they can't park there from 8 to 2. Mm-hmm. Well, but they're not going to write a ticket at first. At first, they're going to write warnings mm-hmm. to get them accustomed to doing it. Guess what? Warnings didn't work with the Pay As You Throw program. Exactly. It didn't work with purple bags. But not only can they tag you with a fine, they can tow your vehicle. Mm-hmm. And I think what came up yesterday by one of the city councilors was true. What about somebody who goes away for 4 or 5 days mm-hmm. and comes back? And their car's gone mm-hmm. because the street was being cleaned. And let me say this. I mean, the plan it's new. I understand that one day needs to start. I believe that. But the thing is, and like everything else, we talk for 2 years, comes to the table, and we still don't have all the ducks on the road. Still questions. Yeah. And until those questions still up on the air, you're not going to have the approval of all the city councils. And for 2 years, we're talking about this.
comes to the day, we still don't know yet how it's going to work, which street's going to work. They mention streets, but even the city councils are asking each other which streets are on this plan. So they don't even know.
Exactly.
I guess just the board knows, but the rest of the city council, it's no communication there. But I'm going to tell you something. I see a meter, a park meter, as a sign. Same thing. It's no difference. Okay? So you're going to get taxed if you don't put money on that meter. With the sign, it's the same thing. So what's the difference right now that to me has a lot to do? Pleasant Street still have a few more business than downtown, and people still looking for places to rent on Pleasant Street. Because the fact is, and it's a big difference, that Pleasant Street don't have a meter. How many times people goes to have a hot dog on South Main and comes back and the hot dog didn't cost them $1.50. The hot dog cost them $21.50. And you think that person is going to go back again to that business? No, that person will never go back to that business. So that's why I'm saying, and they want to start this on the big streets, I understand. But if you shut one morning, one side of Pleasant Street, it's going to make a huge impact on those business. And on top of that, to be tagged or come out of a restaurant and they don't see the car anymore, it's out of questions. Again, we talked for 2 years. We come to the table with all and some answers that needs to be answered, and the city councils don't have all the answers. Because it was very well short last night when one city council asks another city council, which streets they're talking about? Do we have a name of the streets? That was no communication there. So if that happened, guess what? We're not ready to go forward with this one more money grab project from the city. And with that said, I think we had the king just arrived.
Yeah, after being locked in a room with lawyers for 2 hours, my head is still pounding. Unemployment rate stays at 8%. Well, that's a victory, huh? Well, I don't know, you're talking about what, parking meters?
Yeah, the
street sweeping program.
Oh, the street, yeah, well, look, like I said, look, it'll be, if it's as effective as the purple bag fines, you don't have to worry about anything, because nothing's going to happen.
That's what I said.
Nothing's going to happen.
For years, they've been trying to use warnings on purple bags, and that hasn't worked to change anything.
That's right. Trash days tomorrow in my neighborhood. I'll go buy that 3-decker. They'll have 15 bags, none of which are purple, and all the recyclables will be wrapped in plastic, so we have to pay more money for that recycle. And they've never been cited, obviously, because they've been doing it forever, since the implementation. But, hey, Fall River, that city council meeting was like at warp factor, warp speed. They were in warp speed.
Yeah, we were
it's
saying
like,
that.
hey, let's not talk about anything. Forget there's nothing going on. Let's just make another position.
Yeah.
Create another position. Get
Two
the first
positions.
reading. Yeah, the positions. They love to make jobs, and then they complain about everything, cable TV, and nothing happens.
Yeah, and last night they talked, and they got out of there walking on water.
That's right. That's it. Another new position. The hell with it. Damn the torpedoes. Full speed ahead. Who cares about the people that don't make any money in this city? Just keep giving positions out. So.
Well, and I think the biggest insult to the whole thing was the fact that the special assistant to the police chief is what they're creating, which is a confidential employee, by the way. And the union signed off on it. But the police department and the administration say we can't afford to give the pay raises to the police department. But we can afford to make a new position.
Yeah, and the police chief has 2 deputy chiefs who actually do a lot of the administrative work for him. Look, it's all it is another. It's a sidekick. It's his personal assistant. That's what it is. They had one before. I guess they eliminated the position, and now they're reinstituting it. But it's just like the administrative assistant to the chief on the fire department, And the one on the fire department, I know he does it. And the other guy they had, Mancini, was very, very good. You know, he created all the budgets, as does Rich, and Rich does a great job. Very knowledgeable, worked in a bank before he got on the fire department. Very, very knowledgeable guy. And you know, but the reality is, are these positions necessary? You've got 2 deputies. Why isn't one of the deputy chiefs yet assume that job? Same with the fire department. They have 2 deputy chiefs. No, they have to hire a man with specialized talent and pay them. And the reality is, when you take over isn't a chief responsible for creating the budget?
Yes.
That's his job. Part of your job description. You know, if you run something, you create the budget. But with all the help they have, they like to create jobs, just like the school department. Look, the school department can have deans of students, assistant to the assistant principal. But do we hire paraprofessionals to allow greater learning time for the students? No. They contracted that out. We have far less than we had before. Do we get more teachers in a classroom in smaller classes? No, they don't. So everything in government is about spending money and giving your friends big pay raises, because being just a regular police officer, well, Christ, you don't deserve a raise. Don't worry about it. You're not going to get anything. And the city portrayed their economic position. They lied, just like they do when they respond to positions. And we talk about that all the time. We talk about you can't fight City Hall, not because you're not right, but because you just can't afford to continue to take them to court or appeal to agencies that don't care, because they're political agencies too. When was the last time you saw an ethics complaint, even if it was valid, upheld by the Ethics Commission?
I haven't had one.
They don't touch it, and you were probably right on almost on all of them, or at least 90% of them, but they don't care. This is the way the government works. They appoint people to oversee themselves. It's like having the wolves oversee the hen house. And it's like they appoint all their friends, and then when you write an appeal to them, nothing ever happens. Oh, we don't do that. Remember the DOR when they said it's not our job to make sure they spend their money right? We just look at the numbers.
Yep, I remember that.
I mean, it's absurd. You got a department. It's called the Department of Revenue, and they have to basically look at a budget of all the cities and towns. But then they admit, oh, we don't. They just send in the numbers and we just rubber stamp them. Why? Political entity. And politicians take care of politicians. And, you know, if you wonder why it doesn't make you crazy, you know, you're not paying attention. That's why you don't want to stick pins in your eyes.
One more thing that I was surprised yesterday, I was not expecting, it was on the Durfee High School. I was not expecting city councils to have questions, but I was expecting city councils to have comments on.
Yeah.
So the public will know where they're standing. Because I can tell you right now, and I just show CJ, I already printed the budget that Dr. Malone presented to the city council on March 12th. And supposedly those numbers already changed. So guess what? The city councils didn't told you, but I'm going to tell you, as a citizen, I'm going to keep my eye on the budget, and I'm going to see where was the increase done, and if that increase needs to be raised on those departments. And I want to see where is the money is going to go into, because I believe just $1.1 million going to the maintaining the buildings. That money, I want to see if that money is going to be added, or if the budget's going to fund money inside the departments to pay for that increase. So that's what I was expecting the city councils yesterday, was to let the public know I'm voting for this, but I'm going to keep my eye, you know, and so I can have answers for my citizens.
Yeah, Carlos, come on. Come on, Carlos. What are you talking about? Again, you're talking about logic. You know, all they care about is, now they fixed the problem.
Yep.
It's government. We appropriated $1.1 million for maintenance. That cures the maintenance problem. But what happened with the tens of millions of dollars we spent over the last 40 years for maintenance on Durfee? Didn't we have a building and grounds in the school department? Didn't we have somebody in DPW, or now DCM, in charge? Because by ordinance, they are commissioned to maintain all buildings in the city of Fall River. We've had ordinances that forget about a maintenance plan. We've got a city ordinance, a law that requires them to maintain the buildings, and they haven't. Is anybody investigating all the people who got paid for the last 40 years to maintain these buildings? No, because this is what government does. They fix a problem by giving somebody a job, giving them a pay raise, and then they don't do the job, and later on, we hire them an assistant. We can't collect our taxes, even though we've got people being paid to collect taxes. Oh, let's give Kathy Ann a stipend, and then we'll give her all the credit for collecting back taxes. She came up with a novel idea about collecting taxes. This is what your government does, and if it doesn't drive you crazy, there's something wrong with you. I mean, this is the definition of government. That's what Groucho Marx said.
Well,
government is an entity that creates a problem that doesn't exist, spends a ton of money figuring out how to deal with it, and then makes that problem worse.
Another thing was on the agenda yesterday that I thought they were going to spend more time was the $300,000 is sitting in CDA for economic development. What are we going to do? July is around the corner. How are we going to spend that money? And what else? We will lose the rights to have that money next year. So here's another thing that was on the agenda that I thought that the councils were going to spend a little more time on that item too.
Yep.
Nothing.
Why talk about that? That only makes sense.
No, again, what do you people? What are you doing? You can't talk sense. That's an oxymoron, because government, it's like military intelligence. It's like, government logic, military intelligence. They're oxymorons. The fact is that, look, this is not the way government works. Maybe years ago, when people actually read newspapers and kept themselves abreast, and they would vote people out. And a long, long time ago, back in the 1700s, we actually had a revolution about government
taxes.
not being responsive to the people that it represented. When we started throwing tea in the river up in the Boston Harbor. And, we rode King George out on a rail, but then we forgot. We created a government, and now it's this self-perpetuating monster that just keeps feeding off itself. And one of the greatest examples of that is the school department. How did the school department become this entity that by law has to basically spend X amount of dollars? Whoever ran a company that said, you absolutely have to spend this money, and even if you don't need it, you have to spend it? And that's what the school department does with net school spending. And they created all these positions. How did that evolve? It evolved because, what did they do? How did this become a reality? Government created, what the hell is this? Jesus, again, I'm not on. But government created the autonomy of the school departments. Education reform. Government created this monster that we have to feed every year, that creates positions like Dean of Students for 12-year-olds and 11-year-olds, that nobody ever saw those positions ever in existence until they were in college. But that's what government does best. Bankrupt you. Bankrupt you.
I'm laughing in here because now I'm thinking maybe it's the school department asking if you want a job.
Yeah. Well, we can come up with another alphabet, CFO, OFF,
PIA.
Yeah, CIA.
Like I say,
yeah,
ABC.
NSA, who cares? But see, when you look at these things, people don't remember how these things evolved. We ran school departments as part of the normal city. And then they had a big enough lobby. They said, "Hey, let's make our own, create our own empire." And that's exactly what they did. Now, go to Russia Malone. That's my new name for him. Right? go to Russia Malone.
The Tsar.
He sits there, and they figure out, like I said, who could anybody, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my mind doesn't work the same way. But, I mean, look, CJ, you were a dean in a college, of a nursing program. I mean, in your wildest dreams, with all the education, and you got more degrees than a thermometer. So, in all the time, could you ever conceive of a dean of students for middle school kids?
No.
I mean, where the hell did they come up with that? I mean, it's just a title so they can stick 6 figures near it. And it's like, and it's the same thing, like, why does the school department have their own treasurer? They're part of the city. We've got a treasurer. We've got a treasurer's department. But they still have their own. Why do they have their own building and grounds when DCM by ordinance is created to maintain buildings? Why?
Jobs.
Jobs for your friends, big paying jobs.
Jobs.
And the school department, like I said, they had a big enough lobby to create ed reform. Ed reform wasn't ed reform. That was the biggest misnomer ever created. It didn't reform education, right? It basically rapes and pillages every city and town in the state, because now they made them autonomous, gave them the power to do all their business unfettered. And they even made a requirement in the law where they can tell you how much to spend. Tell you. You were talking about people buying a hot dog and stuff and getting a ticket. Well, guess what? They don't go to those places anymore. But we don't have any choice when it comes to our education. We can't hire a bunch of people and elect them to the school committee and say, let's get rid of all the fat. Let's get rid of deans of students and CFOs and all this other 6-figure salaries. Let's put that money back into the classroom where it belongs. Oh, no. It's against the law. It's against the law. You have to, they're autonomous, and this is what they do. It's just a mess, and you wonder why, the city has an unemployment rate stays
8.2%. 8.2%. That's that rate's staying at.
And we're tied with Harwich. What do they got, 12 people in Harwich? I mean, we're tied with Harwich. The reason they got an unemployment rate in Harwich is that all those people that are unemployed are living off their parents because Harwich is a pretty rich little town down there. As a matter of fact, that's where Tip O'Neill was from.
Yeah.
Tip O'Neill was from Harwich. I used to know the president of Harwich. A good friend of mine passed away of cancer, and good guy, and very good friend of mine. And when I used to go down to Harwich, once in a while we'd run into Tip O'Neill. And, Harwich, it's like, come on. Fall River's unemployment rate is always one of the highest in the state. Another testament. But don't worry, Kathy Ann's getting another stipend. She's going to take care of this, too.
Hey, I guess we're going to get $11 million in our stabilization fund because the city got $1 million from the landfill.
Yeah, you mean the landfill that Flanagan started, Sutter signed off on, and now Jazel's going to take the credit?
Of course.
Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, that's the one. That's
okay.
it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Just checking.
Just being sure. But it's interesting because we got to be made in 2 payments. One's $450,000. The other one's $550,000. For the previous for this year and last year. And that's going to be $1 million. So I want to know where the city's going to put that money. I think it's important that we know.
Sure, not in our pocket. I can guarantee you that. We're not going to see. When are we going to see? If you want to get rid of us, don't increase taxes next year. We'll all stroke out here. Don't worry about it.
There'll be nothing to talk about.
That's right. There'll be nothing for us to talk about. You want to get rid of us? We'll start having to talk about national news.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. Stay angry, and we'll see you on Friday.
Sorry I was late, but duty called.
Sorry I was early.